Hey, what's up guys? Jason Andrews here. Today I want to talk about 5 great gift ideas for that drummer friend of yours, or that son or daughter who's playing drums, or that neighbor down the street that you just hear banging around in his garage. Okay, these 5 things are going to work for pretty much any drummer at any age or any skill level. And some of these things, you just, as a drummer, you cannot have too many of. So if maybe they already have one of something, it's always good to have something else. So all of these things are relatively cheap. I think maybe the most expensive one is like $100, but everything else is, you know, $10, $20, $30 or whatever. So everything that I talk about, there's going to be the link in the description. So if there's something that you're interested in, just click on the link. It'll take you right to Amazon, and you can, you know, pick it up in time for Christmas. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is a drum pad. Okay, I can't tell you how many drum students I have or kids that I teach that do not own one of these things. And for any drummer who's spent any amount of time practicing knows how invaluable these things are. Now, they come in a variety of different sizes, different textures. Some of them are hard, some of them are soft, some of them are loud, some of them are quiet. Basically, you can almost use anything you want for a drum pad. Almost. One of my favorite ones is by a company called Vader Percussion. And the reason I like it, it's got 2 different sides to it. One is softer, one is harder, and it mounts very easily in a snare drum. Now, I can speak to the longevity of this because I probably have had this thing for like 10 years. I've probably hit it, I don't know, 1,000,000 times with big sticks, small sticks, all sorts of things. And it's held up just fine. A little dirty, but it's like, it works perfectly. So if you're just looking for some type of normal pad, I mean, this is definitely a great one. The next thing I want to talk about is a metronome. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, you know, he or she has got a metronome on their phone. They don't really need a real metronome. To that, I strongly disagree for multiple of reasons. One, sometimes as a drummer, you want to practice distraction-free. So having your cell phone on you can kind of be too tempting. You know, you want to start scrolling or whatever. 2, you know, if you're going to be using a metronome at a gig or at a rehearsal or something like that, you probably don't want something that is going to, you know, go off every time you get a text message or ring or something. You know, this is probably the industry standard. This is the Boss DB90. Out of my whole list, this is the most expensive thing. I think it's around $100, $110. This has inputs for a headphone, 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch. It can do all your basic subdivisions. It's got good volume, a tap tempo, just all around, like, just kind of a great metronome. Highly recommend this thing, the Boss DB90. All right, next up, something that every drummer needs, and they probably need more than one of. Let me take a drink of coffee. How cool is this coffee cup, huh? I won it yesterday at my work Christmas party. Really fitting for today's episode. Okay, what we're talking about here are drum keys. Now, everybody loves drum keys. You know, I can't tell you how many times you ask a drummer, hey man, you got a key? And they're like, oh no, I don't. I left it in my car. I left it in my stick bag. Oh man, you know, I put it in the washing machine. You know, as a drummer, we can never have too many drum keys. You know, I've got one on my key ring. I've got one in my car, in both my stick bags. I keep one in my snare drum case. You know, and I'm sure that drummers out there are doing the exact same thing. The one that I want to recommend today is a drum key by a company called Evans. And this is, it's a really awesome design, and I'll explain why. It kind of works as a torque wrench. It's got a bunch of different settings on it, tension settings. So even if you get this for a drummer who doesn't really know how to tune a drum, or doesn't have very good ears, or is trying to tune somewhere where it's very loud and they cannot actually hear the drum, you can set this thing to whatever tension you want. You're going to torque it down. It's going to click over. So at least all of the lugs on the drum are going to be the same tension. And it's going to be hard for a drum not to sound good if it's all evenly tense, if it's all evenly torqued down. So because of that, I use this key all the time. You know, as long as I can make sure all the lugs are even and it sounds good, I know that the drum is relatively in tune and it's going to be good enough to get by with whatever I need to do. So the Evans torque key, really great drum key. Next, Zildjian makes this drummer's survival kit. Now basically this thing has got all your little, see, you can see I've opened it, right? I've already had to use some things out of it. This thing has got all your little odds and ends that you might need, you know, if something falls off your drum kit or something's making too much noise, right? So it's got cymbal sleeves, rod washers, felts, hi-hat felts, you know, an impact pad, the snare cord. You know, this is just something like, as a drummer, right, we just keep these things on us just in case, right? You know, like I said, I've already had to use some things out of this, you know. So thank you, Zildjian, for making this thing. So again, that's the Zildjian Drummer's Survival Kit. Again, it'll be linked down below. So this is like a no-brainer. Like, you put this in a stocking stuffer of a drummer and they'd be like, thank you so much. You know, this is, you know, they're going to use it. Trust me. All right, last but not least, there are hundreds of drum books. So you might go to your local music store and say, you know, I want to get a drum book for you know, drummer so-and-so. And you're going to be kind of overwhelmed, you know. Double bass drum techniques, funk master studies, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this first book has been around since 1935. Stick Control. $11. I don't care what type of music you're playing. I don't care how good you are. This book is going to be useful. It doesn't have very complicated rhythms. Most of the patterns in here are accompanied by a series of R's and L's, which it just means right and left. Anybody can make this thing happen, right? So Stick Control by George Lawrence Stone. Again, the link will be in the description. Incredible book. Thank you. 1935. It's like almost, you know, 90 years old. The next book, Syncopation by Ted Reed. This is a really good one. Okay, this is an $8 book. Now, what this one is going to have is a little bit more rhythms spaced out. And I'll tell you what, you take this book to any person. You're playing jazz, you're playing funk, you're playing Afro-Cuban, you're playing whatever. Like, you're going to be able to put this to use. It starts out really basic. It's going to help the person kind of learn how to read if they don't know how to read. And I mean, there's pages in here. There's pages in here. I guarantee you 95% of every professional drummer probably has memorized. That's how like useful this book is. So again, linked below, Ted Reed's Syncopation for the modern drummer. All right, I think that pretty much covers it. Those are the 5 things, although there are 2 books, but I included that in just one category. So the last bonus tip I'd like to give, or bonus gift rather, that is a drum lesson from a professional drummer in town, right? If you have just a beginner drummer, you can probably just call up your local school music teacher or a local music store and just say, hey, do you got anybody there that teaches drums? I guarantee you they'll be able to find somebody for 25 bucks, 50 bucks, whatever, come and give whoever a drum lesson at their place, you know, for an hour or something. And that's gonna be incredible, right? And if they're a little bit more advanced drummer, just do a little bit of research. Look up the monster players in that guy's area. I guarantee you they give drum lessons. You know, it might be 80 bucks, it might be 100 bucks, but the guy's going to get so much out of it, and it's going to be a gift that is going to carry with him his whole life. So a drum lesson, that's the bonus gift, okay? So I hope everybody has a great holiday season. I hope that everyone is drumming and excited about drumming, and if you did get something off this list, you know, leave a comment below and let me know if they liked it, or, you know, or Or what do you guys think that some of the great gifts for drummers are? Because I don't know everything. But so thank you for watching. And again, have a great holiday. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.